Joining me now is Chef Michael Weinstein, the Dreadhead chef. He has been in the culinary arts scene for over 20 years. He is the CEO of Rebel Dreads Corporation, which contains several lines of products, including food infused with CBD. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Glad to be speaking with you again, Wendy. Thank you so much for having me again.
Yes, absolutely. We spoke on Weed Speak, and it's great to have you here on the Wendy Love Ed show. So this show is about making the foods we eat a little bit healthier, the foods that we enjoy. And I wanted to start off by talking about cooking at home. A lot of people use processed food. What are the pluses and minuses to that?
Well, I mean, cooking at home, obviously you can, make what you want. You don't have to worry about anything, going out or anything like that, which is a benefit. If you don't like to cook or clean at home, obviously that's going to be a problem. But you can definitely, by cooking at home, you can eliminate, going to what chain restaurants use in their food. And a lot of them use, a lot of the bigger chains, it's all made in a commissary. It's all got preservatives in it. So how to eliminate those is really the best thing to do is by cooking at home and going and getting the ingredients. I know a lot of people, unfortunately with lesser income, it's very difficult to cook at home. By going and get fresh fruits and vegetables, it's very difficult because of just a monetary issue.
Right.
But for anyone that can, or for those that are the lower income, that start giving it a try. Grow if you have a space to grow your own garden, do something like that if you can, to at least be able to get some of those fruits and vegetables that you want. But yeah, I mean, if we all know if you're in the grocery store and you're going and just buying, I don't know, rice roni or something like that. I mean, all you gotta do is look to see what's in there, look at the ingredients, go, do I really want that in my body? Can I pronounce that word that's on the box?
Right, good point. Right.
That's a big thing. I mean, you could also, a thing if you want to do something like that, a good way of looking at it is looking at that box and seeing maybe what the ingredients are and going, okay, I could possibly make that. Go get your rice, go to the spice aisle, go get some, the dried spices, or go get some fresh herbs and try to make it yourself that way. And it's a whole nother aspect of doing it. You'll cut out the preservatives that are in the products.
Right.
Look at bread. You can buy bread without preservatives. You have to eat it. You just can't sit around for 3 months. You've got to eat it. So
right, that's a good point. If we buy fresh, it may not be as expensive as someone might think, but it's to eat when you purchase it rather than thinking it's going to sit around in the house and you'll be able to use it for several weeks.
Exactly. I mean, it just depends what store you go to. During the warmer months when farmers markets are more available, maybe look at going to some of those and getting supporting your local farmer, your local rancher.
Right.
Getting eggs like that is a kind of a good way. The eggs will cost more, but it's a better egg. If the yolk is very yellow, that means that chicken is eating the right stuff and not just being force fed, essentially.
Nice. That's good to know.
Yeah.
In the processed food too, it seems like there's so much high fructose corn syrup. That doesn't seem like it's very healthy for us.
There's a documentary I watched. It's been a good amount of time, called King of Corn, and it's probably 10 plus years old maybe, but it really explains high fructose corn syrup. And even though it's a little bit dated now, but still it's eye-opening of how it's made. And in my belief, since the 50s, when fast food and high fructose corn sort of came hand in hand with each other, and it really has seen the obesity in America has increased since high fructose corn syrup has been introduced into our diet. I mean,
so you can fight against that by cooking it yourself. So let's talk a little bit about some recipes that you could adapt to kind of make them a little healthier. I think we were talking recently about chicken soup. That's kind of a staple in Jewish homes like we grew up in, right?
It is.
It's really nourishing though, isn't it?
It's super nourishing. And something so simple about it is, you go to the store and you get, your broth that's already, unless it's getting organic, but if you still get organic, you've got to look for stuff that's not, doesn't have salt in it.
Mhm.
So a lot of them, they add salt to it. So when I make chicken soup, what I do is I make a chicken stock first. And I use, say I'm getting the whole chicken, depends how much soup you want, 2 chickens. With the whole chicken, I break
Mhm.
that chicken down. I keep the bones, I keep the wings, and I make my chicken stock with that. And
Mhm.
then once I have my chicken stock made, and the chicken stock, you got onions, carrots, celery, thyme, bay leaves, parsley stems, usually black peppercorns, and you
Mhm.
just let it simmer. I mean, it takes like 4 hours. You strain it out. You got a nice stock. You don't need any salt to it. So say
Mhm.
you do make a chicken stock. We call it we call it chicken glacé. So it's basically you take that chicken stock and you put it in a pot and you start reducing it and reduce it and reduce it. I mean, you need, like, say you take a gallon and reduce it into a pint.
Uh-huh.
You can actually then put that in the fridge, and it'll almost, just because of the gelatin, natural gelatin in there, it'll almost make like a, looks like Jello, you know.
Oh.
Then
Mhm.
you can cut that into cubes and store that in your freezer. And then when you need chicken stock in something, you can take water, add that little all fresh natural bouillon, and put in the water. You've got chicken stock again.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that. That is news people can use. Now, what about spaghetti? Because a lot of people eat a lot of carbs, which isn't necessarily good for us, right?
Right.
How can we adapt that?
Spaghetti squash, pretty easy.
Easy, easy fix.
Pretty easy. You can do, you can zucchini noodles. You can do squash noodles. I
Mhm.
mean, there's other things you can do. And when my fiance and I, when we did the Whole 30 a while back, it
Uh-huh.
was like, oh, we did our first time with the spaghetti squash like pasta. And it was like, it was like almost like eating spaghetti without,
Mhm.
just the noodle aspect of it.
Right.
And you can make your own sauce. I
Yeah.
mean, onions, garlic, herbs. I mean, it's not as hard as everyone thinks it is. It's just time. It's time consuming.
Mhm.
So
There's something nice though about making your own food for yourself and or for your family if you've got other people in the home. It
right,
kind of takes you away from the devices and doing something productive and healthy for yourself and
right.
your family, you know.
Exactly. I
Mhm.
mean, I think, a lot of people will, be at their house, and the communication, everyone's looking at their phone.
Yes,
And
right.
well, that's not much of a conversation going on there at all.
Right.
Uh,
And it could be healthier even just to spend time together cooking and then eating it, you know.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
I wanted to talk a little bit about CBD in the food because I love your products. But at home, you know, is it helpful or healthy to add CBD tincture to food, or what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, people can, even though I make food products that have CBD in it, I'm still not every single thing that I make every single day of the week, I'm putting CBD in.
Right, right.
I mean, it's just becomes sort of, do I need that in there? Do I not need that in there? I mean, but yes, I mean, it's just when to add it. If you're using flour, it's got to be decarbed and all that stuff, and
Hmm.
everything has to be infused ahead of time. But I mean, yeah, you could essentially take a tincture and put on top of stuff. That way, it's going to
Hmm.
get absorbed into you, as you know. I mean, with some of my product, like with the salsa I make, the dessert salsa, you know, for a kid, you could actually put it in yogurt, and they could get their daily CBD dose that way.
Oh, nice. Right. Yeah,
So
that salsa that you make is delicious. It's kind
thank
of
you.
a treat for me. So, you know, as a diabetic, I couldn't sit and eat the
Right.
jar, but if I decide I'm gonna splurge a little bit and have some, it's so delicious.
Thank
um,
you.
you know, and I think, you know, that's an important point too. You know, people deny themselves a lot in the name of like trying to be healthier.
Right.
You know, what are your thoughts about that?
It is okay to go and, you know what, I want fried chicken tonight.
Hmm.
And you've been eating healthy for 2 weeks. Well, what, reward yourself.
Yeah,
Look at it as
right.
a reward to yourself. I've done so good this whole time. I want a reward for myself. And it's kind of like the dog treat. It's the same sort of principle. You've done
Right.
so good for yourself. Give yourself a treat. I mean,
Mhm.
it's okay.
Right,
You know.
right. I think it's important to do those things. And in an earlier segment in the show, Dr. Egypt talked about a different way to make a fried chicken like baked by baking it. But sometimes you just want the real thing. It feels good. You do it as long
Exactly.
as you don't keep going with it,
Exactly. I mean, it's you haven't had dessert in 2 weeks, and you just like, God, I just want some ice cream. Well, go get some. If
Right.
you're doing you're eating well, you're exercising. When we're trying to be healthy, actually 80% is your diet.
Hmm. I
So,
agree.
and
Absolutely.
I know
Mhm.
we talked a little about this, but I had a good friend, and at the age of 42, right after New Year's Eve, he suffered a massive heart attack.
Gosh, I'm so
Did not
sorry.
obviously did not make it,
Hmm.
and the guy was a runner. He would swim, he would bike, he would do triathlons.
Hmm.
His diet was awful, absolutely awful. So he was trying to exercise away his diet. It can't be done. It
Yeah, it
cannot be
seems
done.
like it all works hand in hand.
It does.
I know for myself too, when I am focused on positive thinking and exercise
Right.
and eating well and cannabis,
Right.
and it all works together, and you can't skip that step. I agree. I think food is really essential,
Right.
you
And
know.
food's been around with, interaction. I mean, I know for you and I growing up being in a Jewish community or household,
Mhm.
food's a huge thing. And
Yes.
I'm sure both of us, yeah,
Yes.
I call it Eastern European soul food is what we would eat. Everything is extremely heavy and rich.
Yes.
That's the diet that my
Mhm.
grandparents would have, and I'm sure your grandparents would have, because that's
Yes.
what they ate. But now, modern times, how to sort of change that
Mhm.
a little bit. It doesn't always have to be those heavy foods as much.
Well,
So
this has been great. You've had so many wonderful tips. How can people get in touch with you?
we got a Dreadhead Chef Facebook page. That's
Mhm.
always a good way to communicate. Instagram, it's Rebel Dreads Corp. That's
Great.
always a good one. And then an email to get a hold of me is going to be askus at rebeldreadscorp.com.
Great. Thanks so much for joining me.
You're welcome.